"Daddy, my hand hurts," the little black girl sobbed. What her billionaire father did next shocked everyone. The marble floor was cold like ice. The night air inside the big house felt even colder. Zuri knelt with a sponge in her small hand, scrubbing hard because the voice behind her said harder, faster, again. Bleach burned her skin. It made her eyes water and her chest tight. "Daddy, my hand hurts," she whispered to no one, because no one was supposed to hear her. Marissa's heels snapped across the entryway. The sound was like a clock that never stopped. Tap, tap, tap. "What did you say?" Marissa asked. Her face looked perfect like a stone, smooth and shiny and cruel. "Stand up." Zuri tried, but her knees slid. The bucket sloshed. Her fingers shook. "You can cry if you want," Marissa said softly. "It won't change your chores." She nudged the bucket with her shoe. Dirty water spilled across the floor and soaked Zuri's leggings. "You think you're special here? You're a charity case. You earn your keep." Mr. Collins, the head butler, stood back in the dark doorway and looked at the rug like it could answer him. He had served this house for 15 years. Tonight, he could not find his voice. Zuri bit her lip, tasted salt, and kept scrubbing because that is what you do when you are small and the world is big and loud. The front door clicked. Keys. Footsteps. A suitcase brushed the threshold. A deep voice filled the hall. "Marissa," it said, calm, steady, dangerous. "What is going on?" Zuri stopped moving. She turned her head. There, in a long coat still damp from the rain, stood her father, Evan Ford, the man who built cities out of glass and light, the man who could buy islands, the man who carried her on his shoulders in summer and told her that love was a house no one could take away. He looked at Zuri's trembling hand. Red. Raw. He looked at her knees. He looked at the bucket. He looked at Marissa. His eyes changed. "I told her to clean," Marissa began, lifting her chin. "The floor is—" "With bleach on bare skin?" Evan's voice cracked like thunder. "She is 6. "Don't be dramatic," Marissa replied. "She spills. She lies. She plays you." "She is my daughter," Evan said. Every syllable was heavy. He stepped to Zuri and knelt. He touched her fingers with his fingertips, barely, like he was afraid to make it worse. She flinched anyway, his jaw locked. "Who did this to you?" Zuri looked at the water. She knew the rules. Don't make noise. Don't make mess. Don't make trouble. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I tried to be good." Evan stood. He faced Marissa. The air inside the entryway changed shape. "Pack your things," he said. "You will not speak to my child again." Mr. Collins inhaled, like a man who had been underwater and finally found air. "Sir." "Call Dr. Mehta," Evan said without looking away from Marissa. "Tell her it's urgent. Then call security. No one outside this household is to touch my daughter, ask her questions, or take photos. Not tonight. Not ever again without my say." Marissa's mouth curled. "You're choosing her over me." "I'm choosing what's right," he said. "Now move." She laughed then, a hard, bright sound that bounced off the marble like broken glass. "You think you can fix this with money and fury? You think people will believe this story? You weren't even here." "I'm here now," Evan said. He lifted Zuri in both arms. She pressed her forehead into his coat and wept. "I'm here," he told her hair. "Daddy's here." Mr. Collins took a step forward. "Sir, there is something else," he whispered. Evan paused in the archway. His hands tightened just a little around his daughter. "Where has she been sleeping?" "The laundry room," Mr. Collins said. His voice cracked. "Since your last trip. She said it would teach the girl respect." The light inside Evan's eyes went quiet and cold. He turned and walked down the narrow stairs to the basement. He pushed open a thin door. A bare bulb shook on a frayed cord. The room smelled like damp cloth. A thin cot, no pillow, a taped, crayon drawing of a unicorn, the paper torn, once then smoothed back onto the cinder-block wall. Evan lowered Zuri onto the cot and then stopped, because the cot creaked like a complaint and the complaint sounded like it had been waiting too long. "Where else does it hurt?" he asked. "My wrist," she whispered. "My back." He closed his eyes like a man praying. When he opened them, he spoke without shaking. "No more," Evan said. "Never again." Dr. Priya Mehta arrived in a navy sweater and tired eyes. She spoke softly to Zuri and listened even more softly. "We will go slowly," she said. She wrapped Zuri's wrist with a gentle bandage. She dabbed soothing cream on the red skin. "No more bleach," she joked lightly, trying to pull a smile from the dark. Zuri's mouth twitched. "Blueberry pancakes tomorrow?" Dr. Mehta asked. "With chocolate chips," Evan said. He stood near the door with his hands in fists he did not notice. After the exam, Dr. Mehta pulled Evan aside. "She is dehydrated. Bruises on the back of her legs, some old, some new. The wrist is sprained. No fractures, but the fear is deep." "What do we do?" Evan asked. "Tonight?" "Tonight you stay close," she said. "Tomorrow I file the report with Child Protective Services. You contact your attorney. You keep everything documented. Photos, dates, names. And you tell your daughter the truth. Kids feel more safe when you do." Evan swallowed. "She was living in a closet, Priya." "Then your house changes tonight," Dr. Mehta said. "Start with the master suite. Make it hers." He nodded once. "Done." Security escorted Marissa out under the eyes of the staff that would not meet her gaze. She left like perfume that finally faded, a smell sweet and sour at once. Evan carried Zuri up the grand staircase wrapped in a blanket soft as clouds. The master bedroom was warm. Lamps glowed like afternoon sun. On the nightstand, Mr. Collins had already placed a small stuffed rabbit they found in a storage box labeled Nursery. Zuri touched the rabbit's ear like it might hop away. "Is this my room?" she asked. "It's yours," Evan said. "Forever." She watched him with careful eyes. They were the eyes of a child who had learned that words can be a trick. "Will you stay?" "All night," he said. He pulled the armchair close to the bed. He sat. He waited while her breathing slowed and steadied. He stayed when the late hour went to earlier and the earlier hour went to morning. He stayed when the city woke. He stayed because staying was the first brick in a wall he should have built long ago. The sun reached across the floors like a warm hand. It touched the kitchen island where Zuri sat in a sweater with a cartoon on it, swinging her feet. A stack of pancakes steamed in front of her, syrup sliding down the sides in a slow gold river. "Both blueberries and chocolate chips," Mr. Collins said, as the young lady requested. Zuri smiled a small, brave smile. Evan drank coffee he did not taste. His phone vibrated with names. His lawyer, his head of security, a board chair, a reporter he did not remember giving his number to. He ignored them. The bell rang twice. Security checked the monitor. "It's her," Mr. Collins said quietly. Marissa stood at the gate in a long coat and dark glasses. The smile on her mouth did not reach her eyes. Evan walked to the door. "You need to leave," he said. "You hit me," she hissed, voice low and sharp. "You humiliated me." "You abused my child," Evan replied. "There is video. There are texts. There is a doctor's report. Leave while you can still walk out on your own." "She isn't yours," Marissa said, stepping close. Her cologne smelled like cold flowers. "She's an orphan you needed so you could look like a hero. That's all she is. And you weren't here." Evan's eyes did not blink. "She is my daughter by choice," he said. "By promise, by love. That is stronger than blood." He shut the door and turned the lock. His hands shook only when he reached the kitchen and saw Zuri's face. "Was that her?" she asked. "Yes." Is she coming back? No, he said. He wanted it to be true in a way that felt like pain. Not ever, he added. His lawyer, Ava Chen, arrived with a folder and a look that said, "We have work to do." Detective Omar Reyes from SVU came next, quiet and observant. "We will move quickly," Detective Reyes said, after Dr. Mehta submitted her report. "But you should prepare for noise. It gets loud when people with money feel cornered." "I've handled loud," Evan said. "I built a company inside a crossfire, but I won't let this become a circus around my child." "It will try anyway," Ava said. "We control what we can. We share what helps. We protect what matters." Mr. Collins cleared his throat. "Sir," he said softly, "the staff, some of us, we should have spoken. We were afraid." Evan looked at him a long time, and his face softened. "Then speak now," he said. "Tell the truth. Make it right." By noon the next day, the gates of the Ford estate became a wall of microphones and questions. "Is it true?" "Did?" "You cover it up." "Where's your wife?" The cameras had their mouths open like hungry animals. Evan stepped outside with Ava on one side and Detective Reyes behind him. He did not bring Zuri. He raised one hand, and the crowd fell quiet because sometimes quiet is what power really sounds like. "I will say this once," he said. "My daughter is safe. She was harmed by someone we trusted. That will never happen again. I failed to see it. I will not fail again. This is not a story for your shows. This is a child. Respect her. Leave this gate, or I will make you leave it." He went back inside. He sat on the stairs. He pressed his palms to his eyes and thought of a tiny cot under a lonely bulb. That night he called a private investigator named Nora Quinn. "I need clean eyes on everything," he said. "Inside and outside. I need to know what." "She's planning." "If there's a plan," Nora said, "I'll find it." She did not promise speed. She promised truth. 2 days later, she sent photos. Marissa at a hotel downtown with a man in a charcoal suit. The man had a smile that did not look like smiling. His name was Julian Rake. He ran a firm that called itself Reputation Management and smelled like fire. Nora attached an audio clip. It was short. A glass clink. A woman's voice. "He loves that girl," Marissa said. "I only need to make him look like he's losing his mind. Then the court will do the rest." Evan listened once. He listened twice. He did not throw his phone. He did not shout. He sent the file to Ava. "We stay calm," Ava said, "and we stay ahead." Family court was cold and bright. The ceiling was high. The seats were wood. The sound was serious. Zuri sat between Evan and Mr. Collins. Her hands were small fists in her lap. Judge Naomi Porter took the bench. She wore no smile and no frown. She wore eyes that looked like they could find the truth in a storm. "Mr. Ford," she said, "you petition for permanent custody and a protective order against your wife, Ms. Kane." "Yes, Your Honor," Evan said. "Ms. Kane, you request joint custody," the judge continued. Marissa sat straight in a navy suit. She looked like she stepped out of a magazine that forgot to print a heart. "I request a fair look at the facts," she said. Her lawyer rose and declared in smooth sentences that the child had an active imagination, that the stepmother used strict parenting, that the billionaire father was grieving and blind. Ava Chen stood. Her words were simple. "We have medical proof, security footage, and witness statements," she said. "We have a child with burns on her hand and fear in her sleep. We have neglect. We have harm. We ask for protection," Dr. Mehta testified. Her voice stayed steady even when her hands wanted to curl into anger. "This is not about a messy house or a missed meal," she said. "This is about repeated cruelty. This child flinches when a door closes. That is not discipline. That is trauma." Mr. Collins testified next. He looked at the floor when he said, "I failed her," and then he looked at Marissa when he said, "No more." Ava asked him what he saw. He told the court about late-night scrubbing until the clock forgot itself. He told the court about the laundry room and the cot with no pillow. He told the court about a little girl who said thank you when someone finally gave her a glass of water. Marissa's lawyer tried to smile it away. "Isn't it possible," he asked, "that the staff misread a firm hand?" "If a firm hand leaves bruises," Mr. Collins said, "it is a fist." The next day, Nora Quinn texted one line, "Check your email." In Evan's inbox was a grainy video from a mail carrier's body cam. The man, Mr. Dimitri Lane, stood on the porch months ago holding a package. In the edge of the frame, Zuri swept leaves in thin pajamas while snow fell. "You okay there, Peanut?" Mr. Lane asked in a low voice. "If I stop, I don't get dinner," Zuri said without looking up. In court, Mr. Lane testified with his hat in his hands. "I should have called someone," he said. "I didn't. I'm sorry. I am here now." Judge Porter did not blink. "Being late is not the same as never showing up," she said. Ava called a child therapist, Dr. Isla Hart, who had met Zuri 3 times since the night everything broke open. "She is healing," Dr. Hart said. "She pictures safety now, but she still checks the corner of every room. She still jumps at sharp sounds." Marissa took the stand and tried on softness like a dress that did not fit. "I didn't know how to mother," she said, eyes damp. "I was strict like my mother was with me. I never meant to harm her." Ava asked one question. "Did you put bleach in the bath?" Marissa stared like a person looking for the lie that fits. "Only a little," she said. Gasps whispered across the room. Judge Porter's lips pressed into a line you could step on. "No further questions," Ava said. They broke for lunch. In the courtyard, Evan sat with Zuri on a bench in a square of sun. "You were very brave," he said. "I didn't talk," she answered. "You showed up," he said. "That is also brave." She studied his face. "What if they don't believe us?" He did not lie. "Sometimes they don't," he said. "But we keep telling the truth until it is louder than the lies." She nodded once. She held his hand. The afternoon felt a tiny bit warmer. Julian Rake did what people like him always do. He found a camera. He fed it poison. A tabloid posted a photo of Zuri crying in a hallway at court. The caption asked if she had been coached. They leaked an edited clip from therapy that made a kind voice sound like a push. They called Evan unstable. They called Zuri a tool. The comments hurt like stings. "We do not play on their field," Ava told Evan. "We build our own." Nora Quinn sent bank records. The money came from a shell company, but it wasn't very good at being a shell. The line went from Marissa's trust to a man at Zuri's school who had sold a playground photo for $5,000. Ava called a friend at a real news desk. They checked the records, checked them again, and ran the story with proof. The tide started to lean. Then Nora caught the clip that changed everything. A security camera near Zuri's school, the angle a little off, the footage a little shaky. A black car idled by the side gate. Inside, a woman in sunglasses stared through the fence the way wolves stare through shadows. The timestamp showed yesterday. "That is a violation of the temporary order," Detective Reyes said when he saw it. "We go to the DA now." Assistant District Attorney Lila Grant reviewed the files. "We request a bench warrant," she told the judge. "We have stalking, harassment, and tampering." The judge signed. Marshals walked into a hotel lobby 2 hours later. Reporters filmed a woman in a beige coat walk out between them like a person who finally learned that doors go both ways. She looked toward a camera. She looked through it. She looked at Evan like the glass was not there. Evan was not there. He was home, sitting on the floor of his daughter's room, building a tower of blocks that touched his chin. "We are safe," he said as a block fell and they laughed. Trial day came like winter comes. Slow, sure, without asking anyone if they were ready. The courtroom was full again, but quieter, like the air knew what it was about to hold. The state called witnesses with steady steps. Dr. Mehta again, Mr. Lane again. A former housekeeper who cried into a tissue and said, "I am sorry," and meant it. An IT worker who kept the backups that Marissa's team thought they deleted. Ava walked through a timeline you could lay like stones. Marissa's lawyer tried to pull threads. He tugged and tugged, but the cloth did not rip because truth, when woven with care, does not tear easy. Then the video played. The one Nora found. The one in the hotel bar. Marissa's voice slid across the speakers like ice. "He loves that girl," she said low and bright. "All I need is one little mistake. He loses everything. She'll forget it all in a few years." The room did not breathe for a long heartbeat. Judge Porter looked down at her notes and then back up. "We will take a brief recess," she said. In the hallway, people whispered words like "wow" and "finally" and "shame." Evan stood very still. He did not smile. He went to the fountain and took a drink because thirsty men do normal things when the world is heavy. Detective Reyes stopped beside him. "You okay?" he asked. "Ask me when it's over," Evan said. It was not over that day. It took 2 more. On the last morning, the jury filed in wearing faces that had seen too much and were ready to see no more. "Have you reached a verdict?" Judge Porter asked. "We have. On the charge of aggravated child endangerment? Guilty. On falsifying evidence? Guilty. On witness intimidation? Guilty." The room stayed still. Sometimes the most powerful sound is the sound that does not happen. The sound of someone not shouting, not clapping, not gloating. Evan closed his eyes. He opened them. He breathed out something he had been holding since bleach hit skin. Marissa stared straight ahead. A person can stare at a wall for a long time when the wall is the only honest thing they have left. Sentencing would come later. For now, there was a gate to get past and a child to pick up from school and a life to go live. Evan drove home on streets he had driven 1,000 times. They felt new. When he reached the house, Zuri ran to the door and jumped into his arms so hard he almost fell. "Did they say it?" she asked into his neck. "They did," he said. "They said it every time." She pulled back. "Can we have a fire in the fireplace?" "Yes." "And hot chocolate?" "Yes." "With extra marshmallows?" "All the marshmallows," he said. That night, they sat on the rug with mugs that steamed and a dog that finally trusted them enough to nap with his belly showing. The flames snapped. The house breathed. "Daddy?" "Yes, baby." "Do people stop loving someone when they do bad things?" He thought for a long time. "I think love changes shape," he said. "My love for your stepmother is gone because it was never real. My love for you grows every day because it is real. The kind that gets bigger when it is tested." She nodded like a judge who had decided. "Okay," she said. "I like that kind." The world did what the world does. It moved. Spring showed up with green and soft wind. Zuri planted marigolds in a box along the back fence. "They need space," she said. "Like people." Evan watched her from the porch with a cup of tea. He used to check stock prices at this hour. Now he checked the way sunlight touched his kids' hair. Zuri's school held an assembly. They gave her a small medal on a blue ribbon for courage. She walked on stage in sneakers and a yellow dress. She read a tiny speech she wrote by herself. "I used to be quiet," she said. "I thought quiet meant safe. But my quiet was a cage. I told the truth. Now I am not in the cage anymore. Thank you to the people who believed me." The gym clapped and clapped. Evan cried in a way he did not hide. After school, a counselor asked if they might start a group for kids who needed a place to talk, a place to feel less alone. "We could use the library on Saturdays," she said. "Would Zuri like to help name it?" At dinner, they brainstormed names. "Hope House," Evan said. "The Brave Club," Mr. Collins offered. Zuri chewed and thought and then smiled. "The Light Tree," she said. "Because we are like trees. We grow stronger when we find sun, even after storms." On the first Saturday, 5 kids came. On the second, 12. They drew, they talked. They made a rule that you get to share or you get to sit quiet and that both are brave. Evan sat in the corner and did not speak. He listened to little voices rebuild the world. He needed to hear it as much as they needed to say it. Sentencing day arrived in a soft rain. The city smelled like clean stone. Judge Porter read the numbers. 20 years. Parole possible later, but not soon. Accountability came dressed like a gray suit and a hard bed. Evan did not look at Marissa as she was led away. He did not need to win at her. He only needed to win with his daughter. They left the courthouse by the side door. They got ice cream. They ate it under an awning while the rain made music. "Do you think she will change?" Zuri asked. "I don't know," Evan said. "Some people do. Some don't. We don't carry that weight. We carry each other." A week later, the governor's office asked Evan to speak at a roundtable about child protection. He almost said no. He did not like microphones anymore. But he remembered Zuri on stage in her yellow dress, and he said yes. He shared simple ideas. Kids should not have to be perfect to be believed, he said. If a report gets filed, someone should have to look a parent in the eye and say what they did about it. He promised funding for a legal clinic to help families who could not pull in a lawyer with a single phone call. He came home and cooked spaghetti with too much garlic. He burned the bread. They ate anyway. They laughed about it like rich people and poor people and middle people all laugh about burned bread at some point, because life is normal and silly even when it was once very not. 1 year later, the oak in the backyard wore a wooden sign. "The light tree," it said in simple letters Zuri helped carve. The lawn filled with folding chairs and paper lanterns and kids with paint on their fingers. The club had grown into a citywide program. Counselors, story circles, quiet rooms where someone held your hand and said, "Take your time." Evan stood by the lemonade table answering questions about grants and schedules and bus routes. He kept losing track of his own shoes and phone and title, and he loved it. Zuri wore a white dress with little flowers and a sunflower pin. She took the small stage and spoke into a microphone that fed her voice gently to the crowd. "A while ago," she said, "I lived in a dark room. I thought that was my forever. It wasn't. I found a door. People helped me open it. Now the sun finds me every day. And when clouds come, I know what direction to face. Thank you for facing that way with me." The crowd stood and clapped, and some people cried because some days do deserve water. After the speeches, a retired mailman with kind eyes brought Zuri a chocolate chip cookie and said, "You helped me forgive myself." Mr. Collins danced silently while he held the punch bowl like a crown. Dr. Mehta hugged everyone like she had 1,000 arms. Detective Reyes took off his tie finally and smiled like a human. Nora Quinn leaned against a tree and took no pictures because some pages live only in memory, and that is better. As twilight came and the lanterns blinked on, Zuri sat under the oak with her knees against her chest and her chin on top. Evan lowered himself beside her, careful of the grass stains on his suit. "Big day," he said. "Big life," she answered. They watched the first star switch on above the roofline. "Do you ever think about the night in the basement?" she asked. "Yes," he said, honest. "But not the way I used to. Before, it was a picture I could not change. Now it is the start of a story I am proud to be in." She leaned her shoulder into his. "I like our story." "Me too." A breeze moved through the leaves. It sounded like applause kept just for the two of them. In the house behind them, a hallway light glowed the way a lighthouse glows for sailors on a good sea. "What next?" Zuri asked. "Beach trip? Plant more marigolds? Teach Gus to high five? All of it," Evan said. "Plus pizza." She laughed, and it was easy. Not a brave laugh, not a cover laugh, just a laugh. "Okay," she said. "Pizza." They sat there until the last guest left and the yard looked like a quiet stage after curtain call. They carried the plates inside. They turned off the lights. They went to bed in a house that knew their names and how to hold them. Outside, the oak kept its own watch, the wood sign steady in the dark. Inside, a small girl slept with a stuffed rabbit and a medal hanging on a bedpost. And a father slept in the chair by the door because sometimes love is big and loud, but sometimes love is simply staying put. And that is how a story that began with, "Daddy, my hand hurts," became the story of a home that healed, a court that listened, and a world that learned to turn its face toward a child's voice until it became the loudest truth in the room.